Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. I just arrived at 6 o'clock this morning from London, and here I am. I think it was the persuasion of Swamiji, Arun Bajajji, and the chairman of the steering committee, the organizing committee, Sushilji, who absolutely made me come over, and I'm totally delighted to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have, as you can see, altogether, including myself, 4 speakers for this session. The topic is affordable capital for scaling up business and industry. And I'm going to speak a little bit in general terms, and then the specific paper that I have prepared, which has been already, I think, amongst the papers you must have. And then I will be inviting each of the other distinguished speakers, and I will be introducing them in the process. And I hope that we will get the session completed at the scheduled time, but I'm sure Swamiji will make me rush if I'm running short. Okay, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, affordable capital and scaling up business and industry. Really, the World Hindu Economic Forum, the backbone of what we want to try and do is to really increase business activity over the world, but then to have a platform for Hindus to be able to assist each other. And in this process, funding for a really innovative idea for business is vital, is very important. And in different parts of the world deal with funding in different ways. And what we want to try and do in due course is to try and help with the idea of venture capital, cross-funding, what is now in the modern technology known as crowdfunding, which is something that we can do within Hindus for projects and ideas that we may have with each other. And sometimes the ideas need to be supported with funding, which does not necessarily come from debt funding, but much likely from equity or venture capital type of funding. So let me share with you what is happening in London and in the UK British economy. The London Chamber of Commerce does a quarterly survey, which is a leading barometer of how the economy is doing in London, and when London's doing well, the rest of the UK does well too. And over the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen a steady pickup in the confidence amongst the London's companies. And in the most recent quarter, the second quarter to 2013, this rise in confidence has actually translated into improved performance in business. So it's beginning to take off. And I forgot to bring my Financial Times headlines. The UK is ready to go, is what they've started to say. And while this confidence has improved and also the performance of the businesses has started to take off, there's one thing still missing in the UK economy, in the London economy, and that is the lack of investment. There isn't enough money going into businesses. And this is the challenge that the British government is going through presently. And we still have not returned to the pre-2008 levels of investments. So what is the government doing? And this is particularly, I think, something that we can share as an idea with other governments and other countries too. The government does have a role to play. And that role is very much in setting up the right kind of tax and regulatory environment to encourage businesses to obtain capital more easily. And as London Chamber campaigns quite a lot for this sort of things, and we try and change the policy or influence the government to change the policy. And I've been talking to a number of members of the LCCI, that's the London Chamber, and vast majority of the businesses in London still continue to finance their business through debt. Very interestingly, in the UK, we have a large number of businesses who fund their business growth by bank loans, whilst in America, it's the other way around, it's the equity. So the different parts are handling things differently. And on the issue of where we've been influential with the government is to create a new idea, which is to create a new British business bank. And that is currently in the process of being set up. It isn't going to be a retail kind of bank, but it is going to be an influential bank that is going to bring in new ideas, new ways of funding businesses, which the traditional banks are not getting around to doing it. And currently, the biggest debate that we've got in UK is banks are not lending. Banks are saying they're ready to lend, but yet they're not putting the money across to the businesses. And it's this British business bank idea that we're trying to float and to make sure that that kind of brings in the new ways. It's similar to something like the KfW banks in Germany and the Small Business Administration in the US. So that's a kind of new innovative things that is taking place. But of course, there are many businesses that don't require debt. And they can fund the businesses themselves. So what does the government need to do for that? And we've been pushing for the tax reforms. And UK now is in Western Europe is the one that has got the lowest corporation tax rates, and they are still coming down. So already the government is reducing and making tax rates as little as 21% in the UK. So I mean, in a modern developed world, 21% is pretty low. And also we've been influencing the government in trying to bring incentives for investment. So there are investment allowances available, which used to be only for £25,000, up to which you get full tax relief on the investment. It's now going up to £250,000. So these are the kind of changes that the government has been influenced and the government is trying to do, which brings stimulus into the economy, and we are beginning to see the impact of that in the UK economy. As I said earlier, the form of funding is 70% in all the EU European funding is through bank funding, whilst only 3% of UK firms use equity finance. And that is quite different and opposite from what is happening in the US. We've been trying to encourage more equity participation, and the government has started to bring in schemes like Enterprise Investment Scheme, the funding for lending scheme. All these are there to encourage more participation on equity level. But what is also interestingly happening, as I mentioned earlier, is crowdfunding. As the banks are slow in funding, as the British Business Bank is also not yet ready, private individuals who've got money in the bank earn in the UK, it's not like the rates of interest that you get in India, like 9%. You get 2% or even less on your deposit money. So they're getting quite edgy about what they can do with their money, and so they're beginning to start finding ways and means of lending money directly to other businesses, and that's crowdfunding. So businesses will register what they want for their business, and then private individuals will participate either to provide loan or even to equity. So this is the kind of thing as a concept that we can also develop in as part of the World Hindu Economic Forum, because we can, amongst ourselves, help each other, and where money is not earning much money for somebody could be of great use for another party. So these are the things. There are schemes like the Enterprise Investment Scheme, funding for lending, Enterprise Finance Guarantee Scheme, Patent Box. Also, there are benefits for patent registration there. So this is the kind of amount of information that I wanted to share with you, what is happening in the UK economy. I'll very soon invite the other speakers, but I just want to briefly mention the concept that we've developed previously with Swamiji and Arun Bajajji about what we want to do with World Hindu Economic Forum and how we can develop this concept of venture capital funding. You know, in a platform like this, world platform, so many countries represented over here today. Arunji, how many countries are there today? 20. 20 international countries are represented here. Compared to Hong Kong, we've more or less doubled. Yeah, already doubled. So this is the momentum that is taking place with how much interest we are all showing in doing business with each other. And already I know some businesses have already taken place where joint ventures have started, some investments has taken place. This is informally. But what we would like to be able to do is to create a platform where if one part of the world, a member of the WHEF, and it can only be to membership, but a member of WHEF can say, oh, we need funding, or we need support, or we need innovation. I mean, I was amazed about the biological farming concept, and I think it has got a tremendous impact in Africa, and I will be talking to the professor later on about that, because I think there's some interesting possibilities there. So it's this sort of things that we can do, but on a platform which is going to be electronic, it's going to be a database created where we can feed this information in an organized way so that it can be floated out. But that's an idea that we're going to work together on for more attempt to do. It's not going to be easy, but that's what we want to do. So that's all I want to say, ladies and gentlemen. What I'd like to now do is introduce our three distinguished speakers. I think it's going to be Mr. Kamala Thakrar first, and if I may give his background, he's an advisor to the chairman of the Siam Commercial Bank. Shri Kamalkant is a mechanical engineer from IIT Delhi, an MBA from IIM Calcutta, and he has 30 years experience in the wholesale banking with Bank of America and Standard Bank before joining Siam Commercial Bank in November 2012. So over to you, sir.